President Reagan, of course, was always so supportive of women leadership. In fact, he often liked to tell a story about his good friend and another heroine, Margaret Thatcher. Reagan first met Thatcher before she became prime minister, and it was during a trip that he took to England while he was still governor of California. Reagan loved to tell a story about that trip. Apparently, he was a guest at a reception hosted by members of the British Conservative Party. And to use Reagan's own words, he said, Lord somebody or other came over to him and asked, well, what do you think of our Mrs. Thatcher? And Reagan said, I think she'd make a magnificent prime minister. And the British lord said, oh, my dear fellow, a woman prime minister? And Reagan replied, well, you had a queen named Victoria who did pretty well. And of course, Reagan was right about what a magnificent prime minister Margaret Thatcher was. And I admire the fact that Mrs. Thatcher, she never set out to be a woman prime minister, just a prime minister, and one of the greatest ever to have served, perhaps because she was a woman of action. Thatcher liked to say in politics, you want something said? Ask a man. You want something done? Ask a woman. That was her quote. So folks, in 2010, we'll remember this year, because we're going to accomplish a lot together this year. This year will be remembered as a year when common sense conservative women get things done for our country. All across this country, women are standing up and speaking out for common sense solutions, and many of them are grassroots activists leading, like the Tea Party movement, which I'm excited about because it's a beautiful movement. It's a movement of the people. These women are getting involved because they want a better future for their kids, for all of our kids. And these policies coming out of D.C. right now, this fundamental transformation of America that we were warned about in the campaign, well, a lot of women who are very concerned about their kids' future are saying, we don't like this fundamental transformation of America, this road that we're on towards national insolvency. We being beholden to foreign countries in so many respects now. We being under the thumb of big government with more of a disrespect for life, for the sanctity of life. We don't like that transformation. And to me, it seems like it's kind of a mom awakening in the last year and a half, where women are rising up and saying, no, we've had enough already. We're going to turn this thing around. We're going to get our country back on the right track, no matter what it takes. We're putting all of our efforts into these midterm elections to turn things around and put government back on our side, to respect the will of the people. Not allowing government to make us work for it, but for our government to, again, work for us. The policies coming out of D.C. are allowing us to feel empowered, really, allowing us to rise up together, because moms kind of just know when something's wrong. It's that mother's intuition thing, I think. We can tell when things are off base, off course, they're not right, and we're not afraid to roll up our sleeves and get to work and get the job done, set things straight. Moms can be counted on to fight for their children's future. Now, again, part of that fight has to do with the grassroots movement that is full of Tea Party Americans, those who are saying, no, enough is enough. And what has amazed me about the Tea Party movement is how the media has reacted to the people who are involved and just want their voice heard, and saying, no, government, you're overreaching, you need to abide by our Constitution, and you have limited powers, federal government, and we're going to kind of explain to you and remind you what the Constitution's all about. That's what the Tea Party movement is all about. So there the media is, and they just kind of crack me up because they embed themselves in the Tea Party rallies, and they try to figure out just who are these creatures who are a part of this. These moms, these grandmas, these teens and college students, these doctors and lawyers and such, all walks of life, both genders, people of all races being a part of this movement. And yet the media has tried, but I think they failed because Americans are smart enough to start holding the media accountable. But people there in the media trying to portray Tea Party Americans as racist and violent and all those things that they are not, that we are not. Just average, everyday, hardworking, patriotic, liberty-loving Americans who, again, have said, that's enough, federal government, that's enough of your overreach, and we're going to do something about it. Now, it's been clever, too, being a part of these Tea Party rallies, seeing some of the signs in the audience, and some of your signs today, too. You can learn a whole lot about what the sentiment is out there in the American public just by reading the signs in some of these movements. I think one of my favorite was a mom carrying a sign saying, "My kid is not your ATM." I do like that billboard too, though. That billboard that the college kids have up that was just recently unveiled that says, "Mr. President, I need a frickin' job, period." That was a good one there in Buffalo. And oh, of course, I always like seeing, though, too, the sign of the billboard, George Bush saying, "Miss me yet?" I love that one. We do. Because when Washington goes on a spending spree and starts borrowing money to take over and bail out insurance companies and financial institutions and the banks, the automakers, and keeps spending endlessly and running up dangerously unsustainable debt and deficits and expect that our kids and our grandkids are going to pay the bills for us for our overspending today, I think that's immoral. It's unethical, it's not right, and I think that all of us agree on that. And when that happens, I think a whole lot of moms who are concerned about government handing our kids the bill, it's generational theft too, we're stealing opportunities from the future of America. We rise up and moms say, "Come on, now that's enough. That is enough, and we're going to do something about this." And Washington, let me tell you, you no doubt don't want to mess with moms who are rising up. They're in Alaska. I always think of the mama grizzly bears that rise up on their hind legs when somebody's coming to attack their cubs, to do something adverse toward their cubs. No, the mama grizzlies, they rear up. And, you know, if you thought pit bulls were tough, well, you don't want to mess with the mama grizzlies. And I think there are a whole lot of those in this room. And that's what we're seeing with all these women who are banding together, rising up, saying, "No, this isn't right for our kids and for our grandkids." And women leading the grassroots people's movement. Many of the Tea Party leaders, most of them are women. So some common sense constitutional conservative women taken to the streets right now, organizing on that grassroots level. This is so good for our republic. It's so good for a republic within a democracy to have this rising up, this awakening. It's very, very healthy for our republic. Others are putting it all on the line, as I say, running for office, being so bold, and those who are endorsed and nurtured by the Susan B. Anthony list, we so appreciate you. When I see how many great women candidates are running, it kind of reminds me of that campaign button that we had in 2008. It showed a pink GOP elephant on it, and it said, "It's a girl." And maybe that was a single girl reference then, but this year, look out, Washington, because there's a whole stampede of pink elephants crossing the line, and the ETA, stampeding through, the ETA is November 2nd, 2010. A lot of women coming together to take this country back. Organizations like the Susan B. Anthony list are leading the charge, too, thankfully. You play such a crucial and unique role in the pro-family, pro-woman, pro-life movement because you support pro-life women candidates. And that is a group that must continue to grow in numbers. You sponsor candidates who will not vote present on those issues of life. And your support for the culture of life, you know that it's not above anybody's pay grade. We proudly stand up and we speak out for those most in need of our protection, those most vulnerable, and we're not shy about doing so. And being a pro-life politician is more than just a convenient title come election time. It means making tough decisions, even if that means bucking your party once in a while on these issues of life, even if it means standing up against that machine that's running a party. The Susan B. Anthony list was front and center during the Obamacare debate, and we were also grateful for your leadership in fighting that public funding that was in the bill during the Obamacare debate. We were saddened to see so many so-called pro-life Democrats cave on the issue, though. But we're not discouraged. Far from being discouraged, we need to be energized. We need to be really fired up and not be demoralized, but get organized. Elections have consequences, and we've seen some of the manifestations of that already in the recent elections and in some of the recent polls. We've seen the consequences of those who said that they were something, get into office, cast their votes, and prove that they're something else. We won't forget those who promised to hold firm against government funding of abortion, but caved at the last minute in exchange for a non-binding executive order promised by the most pro-abortion president to ever occupy the White House. We will not forget.